Hi folks, this is just a very quick update, 1st of June here in New Zealand, and it would be 31st of May still in the US at the end of the day. And very quick update, investors who were hoping Trump would rescue the stock market are now counting on the Fed, according to the CNBC article. The expectations for a Fed bailout for markets and the economy rose sharply after President Trump's surprise threat to put tariffs on all Mexican goods. That makes some analysts see the Fed put as a more powerful protection against market downside than the view that Trump would act to stop stocks from falling.
May 31st, 2019. People, the stock market got hit today. Dow fell about 354 points.
Michael Snyder of the economiccollapseblog.com says, all of the economic momentum is moving in just one direction. He says, earlier today I was greeted by the jarring headline when I visited the Drudge Report, Bonds Flash Recession Warning. These days it seems the R word is being thrown around constantly, but at this time last year everyone was celebrating how well the economy was doing. Unfortunately, we have witnessed a dramatic shift in recent months and we just got some more really bad economic numbers. Thanks to those bad numbers and an increasing amount of anxiety about the trade war, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 237 points on Monday. That means that we are on pace to potentially see the Dow fall for a 6th week in a row, and that is something that hasn't happened since the last recession. And yes, by the end of the week, the Dow had dropped 3% this week and notched its 6th straight weekly loss. That's the longest weekly losing streak for the Dow since 2011.
We're experiencing a collision here between two moving objects. One of them is much larger than the other. I'm referring to the debt market. The debt market is leaps and bounds larger by exponents than the stock market, and they're slamming together. You can see here with the 10-year yield, it just hit 2.13. It's affecting the stock market.
Folks, the point of this update is not to get people into fear and panic mode, but to get people to wake up to the reality that all is not rosy and not well, no matter what Donald Trump or the mainstream media or anyone else tells you. If you look at what's actually going on, it is in a downward spiral.
Let me put another perspective on this for you. I know many people refuse to see the light, even if they were staring at the sun, but the facts are very straightforward. The U.S. economy right now, regardless of who's sitting in the White House, because it's not about one man or one woman. It's about all of us. The United States economy is failing, and I mean failing hardcore. All you need to look at is one thing. The money velocity, the rate at which cash is moving through our economy. Go to the Federal Reserve's own website. You will see a chart there which will show you that the money velocity is stuck. It's doing nothing, and not only is it stuck, it's stuck at historic lows.
Over at altmarket.com, Brandon Smith said, globalists only need one more major event to finish sabotaging the economy. The US-China trade dispute has escalated into an all-out war with no end in sight. The claims of many analysts and skeptics a year ago that the trade war would be over quickly and that China would fold to the US tariffs has been proven incorrect. The reason why these analysts got it so wrong centers primarily on their misunderstanding of the true purpose behind the events. In other words, Trump's trade war is a perfect smokescreen for a market crash, he says. Further down he says, the trade war situation as it now is not enough of a distraction in my view. However, at least one more major event with global ramifications or perceived global ramifications is needed by the elites before they can implode the everything bubble without taking the blame for the consequences. And he says the trade war itself is a farce on both sides of the Pacific, as both China and the US are controlled by the same financial power centres, such as the Bank for International Settlements. The fact that some people are jumping on the Patriot bandwagon to cheer for expanded confrontation with China as if a globalist engineered war is a war we can win is disturbing and sad to witness. My suspicion is that there is a concerted disinformation campaign in play on the internet to drum up the false impression of consensus support for the trade war, while the activities of the real villains, the international banks, are ignored. And then further down, Brandon Smith said, the rise of the populists in Europe and the US at the exact same time that central banks are withdrawing liquidity and at the exact same time that fundamentals are plummeting is yet another unlikely coincidence. Now, for those of you folks who are in the US, couple that with the crop catastrophe in the Midwest. Latest USDA crop progress report indicates that a nightmare scenario is upon us, says Michael Snyder of the Economic Collapse blog. The last 12 months have been the wettest in all of US history, and this has created absolutely horrific conditions for US farmers. Thanks to endless rain and historic flooding that has stretched on for months, many farmers have not been able to plant crops at all, and a lot of the crops that have actually been planted are deeply struggling. What this means is that US agricultural production is going to be way down this year. The food that each one of us eats every day is produced by our farmers, and right now our farmers are truly facing a nightmare scenario, he says. And then of course you've got the massive number of tornadoes, huge number of tornadoes that have hit the US. In fact, it is now officially the 4th worst tornado season ever for the US. But further down he says, and it isn't just in the United States where we are seeing widespread crop failures, that Australia will be importing lots of wheat this year when it is normally one of the largest exporters of wheat in the entire world. In Asia, you have problems with African swine flu. And he concludes with saying a perfect storm is rapidly developing and many expect global events to start accelerating dramatically. Now, with the increasing number of natural disasters, with the food basket and bread basket in America looking like it's pretty devastated, so that food price rises and food shortages will likely result later this year, plus the stock market and economic situation, I think it's prudent not to be getting into fear and panic, but to look and take stock of what you can do to look after and protect yourself and be prepared for the difficult situations that look like they may lay ahead. Nobody will be immune, and nobody can be 100% prepared against every circumstance that can happen. But each of us can do something to prepare, and I think it's very prudent to be doing that now. Each person's preparation will be different. Pray about it, ask God's guidance on what you should do, but don't do nothing. And figure out what food you should store. I believe everyone should have some, and water. Have a preparedness plan and a disaster kit, and also don't have all your eggs in one basket, i.e. the current financial system. Perhaps take some out and put it into precious metals or other assets that are liable to go up rather than down in the event of a financial crash. Folks, please like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit aminutetomidnight.com, and if you're able, we'd really appreciate any donations that can be given to help us keep this going.